G'day everyone, welcome back to another weekly tipping video on the channel. In this video today, I'm going to be going over my tips for round 23 of this AFL season, second last week of the home and away season. And geez, this is going to be a hard round to tip with a lot of season defining games. Let's get straight into the video, shall we? Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you do go on to enjoy. But first, as we always do, let's kick it off with my tips from last week. So my tips from round 22 the previous week, probably one of my best rounds of tipping this year. Managed to get a 8 out of 9, sitting in the top 7% of scores for the round on ESPN. The tip I did get wrong was that 𝐓𝐴𝐶 𝐿𝐼 tip, but hey, we nailed all the tips here. First one up, the Pies, getting it done over the Cats. Felt confident Collingwood would bounce back, and that second half on Wednesday looked like the better side. Played the game on their terms and probably should have won this game by more. Did tip the Dons, not really with much confidence, but also at the same time with a bit of confidence, because it is really hard to tip North Melbourne given they haven't won a game since round 2, and that does continue as the Dons scraped home an important win to keep their season alive. They're still a mathematical chance with the final 2 rounds, of course. And then the next game did tip the Swannies, backed them in at home, even though the Suns have a very good record at the SCG. But after halftime, the Swans did really well around the footy and were very efficient going inside 50. Did go with the Lions, backed them in at home. I liked Adelaide for this one, but I just felt probably with their inexperienced backline it could hurt them. But honestly, they're probably good enough to win this game. But just again, they've had a lot of these close losses this year, Adelaide, where they've just been very, they've lacked a lot of execution in front of goal when the moments matter. But Brisbane, just a bit more of the classier team to get it done. Crazy game on Saturday night, backed in the Blues, and it did pay off. Very, very happy with this one. Probably should have been a goal to Melbourne, but I felt like football justice sort of won in a way, because I felt Carlton were the better team in this game. They had a very dominant second half, very good start to the fourth term, but yeah, they managed to keep Melbourne under 10 goals, so credit to them. It was a great win in the end. Easy tip with Fremantle in the Derby. Thought that this one would be closer, but they just flexed their muscles, the Dockers. Did back in Hawthorn. I did fall for the cheese, and I thought they were going to stitch me up. But hey, they were honestly the complete better team over the Western Bulldogs. Probably should have won this game by more. They were just hungry around the footy. They moved the ball really well. It was a bit of a windy game, but yeah, the Dogs were just poor. They lacked effort and intent and hunger for the footy. So yeah, the Hawks just honestly a completely better side. Crazy and a cracking win down in Tassie for them. The tip I did get wrong though, backed in the Tigers. Probably should have looked a little bit more into their past form, because it hasn't been good. They've obviously checked out as a group now as their season is done. But a great win from the Saints, put on a big score. Max King scores well. And yeah, they probably went away from finals footy, and did back in Port Adelaide. Easy one probably against the Giants, just because it is at home. And they got a comfortable win. So 8 out of 9, let's hope we can continue that form heading into round 23. So let's kick it off, shall we? First game, Friday night footy, the Pies versus the Brisbane Lions at Marvel Stadium. This one would have been circled in the calendar for a lot of Pies and Brisbane Lions fans at the start of this season. And there's been a lot of noise around this game, being it should probably be at the MCG. I probably should agree, but it's the fixtures. Probably leave it as it is. It's not really my sort of expertise or sort of my area to complain about. It's at Marvel Stadium. It probably does favour the Lions a bit, because they're a very good team at Marvel. I think the last 10 games there, they've won 8. So they actually are very good there, and I think they, compared to a few other teams in the comp, even a few teams that actually have play there as a home ground, they probably, I think, have one of the best records in the AFL, so I love playing at Marvel. As for the Pies, well, look, the last few weeks have been a little bit patchy. However, they really played well last week. It definitely was said. After that second half, they played the game on their terms. The pressure was back. They moved the ball really well. The likes of Bobby Hill were up and about in that third term, and also 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻 kicking a bag. So, yeah, they've really got to show that dominant sort of play, the Pies. But I feel like, yeah, just looking at the last few weeks, they've been a side that has looked a little bit vulnerable defensively. They started off the game defensively poor last week. So with the class of the Lions forward half, we all know that they can make a damage. But the last few weeks, they've been a little bit out of form as well, the Lions. They've gotten some close wins as of late, but they haven't really shown their dominant selves. And I feel like they've got to probably play their best brand of footy if they do want to knock off the Pies, especially away. There is a lot of talk from Collingwood fans that they're probably going to be resting a few players, and they probably won't play their best footy. Look, that's just all speculation, but certainly Craig McRae would definitely not be thinking that. I feel like Collingwood will definitely come out to play. They want to put away Brisbane here and just continue to really show good form heading into finals, because it's important. Talking about that premiership runway, you need to keep on winning games. This is what premiers do. They just go on a winning streak during the last few rounds of the home league season. So I expect a Collingwood outfit to really get up and about here. Look, I like the Lions for this one. I think a few people will back them in, but I just feel like Collingwood really need to start getting back in the winning sort of culture and the winning sort of style of things. So I expect them to get up and about for this game, really play the game on their terms. And if they can really win that midfield battle against Brisbane, I reckon they can beat them with ball movement. And if they can nullify Andrews especially as well, they could see him get it done. But yeah, I like the Lions for this one, but I just expect Collingwood to really have a good crack and win this game over Brisbane at home. So we'll go Collingwood for Friday night footy, and they'll win a probably close game. I think this one could be a bit of a high scoring shootout. Collingwood by 12 points. Moving on now to the Saturday games. First one up, the Tigers hosting the Kangaroos at the MCG. Rare game here at the MCG for North Melbourne. So yeah, it's a good opportunity for them to, with the limited amount of games left this season, to just try and show tremendous effort and keep on trying to push for that third win. And hey, maybe could come here against the Tigers, who have checked out a little bit. Their season is done. They've just looked awful as of late. Defensively, they've been poor. It just feels like a lot of players, the game has just gone past them. Especially a few of the older players, they just look banged up. They look slow, especially in the midfield. They just seem to lack a lot of speed and drive power out of the midfield, and especially defensively they've been a train wreck the last 2 weeks. They've struggled to have any efficient ball movement and defend transition, but is this the week they do bounce back against a team that cannot win of North Melbourne? They've been oh so close, North, the past few weeks. They play great for a half or 3/4, but then they just can't get it done in crucial moments, and because of that I just can't tip North. But there's still a good chance to be probably the better side here against Richmond. But I just feel like on paper the Tigers should be winning this game of footy. They do play their best at the MCG too. They're not great at Marvel, let's be honest. The last 2 weeks they've played at Marvel, so I think in the MCG Richmond do lift and turn up for this game, even though North give them a good chance, but I just can't tip them. So we'll go the Tigers to win maybe a comfortable sort of game. In the end, maybe they run away with it in the fourth quarter, and the Tigers will win by 25 points. Next game here, we've got the Suns hosting the Blues at Heritage Bank Stadium. Always a bit of a mystery tip here when a good team's in good form heading over to the Gold Coast to play the Suns, because sometimes a few clubs can really slip up. I think Carlton did this last year when they started the season off 3-0 or 4-0, and then they just got pummeled by the Suns. I still feel Gold Coast will want to be finishing this season pretty strong. Look, they've lost 2 in a row, but I feel like their method has still been pretty good, and their effort and intent has been very good as well. They've just lacked a lot of, they've just lacked an ability to play 4 full quarters. They were unable to against Adelaide, unable to against Sydney last week, but they have midfielders in good form, I feel. 𝐓𝐶 𝐿𝐼, Matty Rowell, Noah Anderson, Sam Flynn has been putting up great numbers. So this is a great opportunity for the Suns to really try and own in the midfield, I think, against the Blues. And if they can pick up their targets well inside 50, which they've been a little bit iffy at, I think they're a really good chance here against the Blues to potentially knock them off. And especially at home, they play probably their best brand of footy there. So I like them here, but look, I think the Blues, they're self-belief, they're high on confidence, they're high in synergy, they're just working so well as a playing group, 8 in a row. I think they continue the trend here. Again, could be a struggle up at the Gold Coast, but I expect if Carlton are in the form they were in, and I really liked how they played against Melbourne for the most part last week, they probably could have won by more. I expect them to really turn up here against the Suns. They are a little bit depleted. You can talk as many positives as you want about Gold Coast. They're still on a losing streak, and I just think Carlton are the better side at the moment, so we'll back in the favourites of the Blues. I think this one could be a bit of a close game, and in fact, I think it will be. We'll go a bit of a tight, cagey affair, but the Blues will hold on and win by 10 points. Next game here, a bit of a season-defining one. This one, the GWS Giants hosting the Essendon Bombers at Giants Stadium. The loser of this game, their season is done for 2023. And I think this game last year, this venue, the Giants pummeled the Dons. So, they've been overall very good at home, especially at Giants Stadium, the Giants this year. So, I think right off the bat, I expect the Giants' victory here over the Dons, who the last 2 weeks they've picked up wins, but against the worst teams in the competition, and how they've gone on that has not been very, very sustainable. They got punished with ball movement against West Coast. They got pretty much pummeled in the clearance game from North Melbourne. So, do I see any positives here? Any chances here to get a win against the Giants? Well, perhaps. The Giants are out of form. They played poor last week, and they really got done on a lack of defensive intent and pressure. So, hey, you know, if Essendon really want to win this game, I feel like they've got to really own it with moving the ball. And when they have good games, the Dons, they can really try and own it around the footy, and they've got to bring that pressure, which they were known for, I think, when they were up and about. But yeah, the Giants at home, I just think is the safe tip. The Essendon aren't really running too well at the moment. Maybe they could get a sneaky win here, but just what form suggests they shouldn't be winning this game. The Giants, I think they can bounce back. At home against the Swans, they had no troubles with going inside 50 or having enough supply going inside 50. So if they can really beat the Dons around the footy, I think they will do win this game and get a confidence-boosting win to keep their season alive. So the Giants to win this game and to finish Essendon's season, and they'll win by 22 points. Next game here, we've got the Saints hosting the Geelong Footy Club at Marvel Stadium. Another really big season-defining game, this one. If the Saints win this, I'm pretty sure they're locked in for finals. I don't think it's 100%, but it's something like 90% I've been seeing on Twitter. But geez, this would be a big, big win if the Saints get up here and really, you know, prove a lot of people wrong, including myself. I've been a bit of a doubter of the Saints, but hey, the last few weeks I feel like they've been able to score a lot more, which is a good thing. They've been taking the game on a lot more, which has been a positive. Even though they've been, you know, that loss to Carlton, for example, they've been a little bit inconsistent with how they've gone at it. I can definitely see an improvement with their ability to score, which is definitely an issue with them during this whole second half of the year when they have dropped games. I think they've been a lot better in the midfield, especially last week. I felt they did well in the stoppage game. So it's a great opportunity here against Geelong, whose midfield and defence is a little bit banged up. Max Holmes, Tanner Bruin, a few young midfielders in there you probably can't trust in too much to try and get the Cats over the line. Still no Blitzarves. Don't know about Hawkins if he comes in or not, but it's obviously a big chance for 𝐼𝐿𝐴 to try and contain Jeremy Cameron, because I think if at the moment, if they can contain Jeremy Cameron, this is a good chance for the Saints to really get up here. But you know, the Geelong Cats, they're a team you can't write off. They're a very, very classy team. Obviously great when they go inside 50 when they are on. But if they can just hold up well in defence, which has been an issue for them, I think they can beat the Saints on ball movement. So, yeah, I like the Cats for this one. But I've always been a doubter of the Saints, but I feel like this week I'm going to get on them. I'm not death riding them. I'm not. But I just feel like the last few weeks, I've really liked the way they've gone at it. And I feel like there's got to be a few upsets this week, and I reckon the Saints will be one of them. If they can just do well in the stoppage game against the Cats, I reckon when they can go inside 50, if they're efficient, they can really do a number on the Cats' defence. But again, you can't write off Geelong too much. But if they've been very good in the intercept game as well, the Saints. They nullified 𝐼𝐿𝐴 well. They did superbly defensively last week against the Tigers too. 𝗏𝐿𝐴's in great form. 𝐼𝐿𝐴 had a great game. So I'm going to back in the Saints here. And if they win this game, they're probably going to be playing footy in September. So the Saints to win. A bit of a ball over, I reckon. The Saints to win by 9 points. And for the final Saturday game here, season-defining game again, as there is plenty this weekend, of course. The Crows hosting the Swannies at Adelaide Oval, 7:40 p.m. It's quite simple for the Crows. If they do lose this game, their season is done. But if they win this game, they're still alive, but they have to have a lot of results go their way. But the important thing for Adelaide is they're pretty much going to be on 48 points because they do have the Eagles next week. So it's a massive game for the Crows. As for the Swans, if they win this game, I'm pretty sure it's a high percentage that they do make finals. They've got the Demons next week, so I think they can afford a loss if they do win this game here. So it's a huge game. I think this could be one of the games of the round. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this one. As a Swans man, I love to see my boys get up here. I think they're a very good chance. Swannies do play Adelaide Oval generally pretty well. They did the number over the Tigers back in round 5. Usually have quite a good record against Adelaide. It's actually been a while since the Swannies have played Adelaide and Adelaide Oval. I think the last time was the COVID game, round 1 2020. So yeah, it has been quite a while. Adelaide are probably one of the best teams in the bottom 10 at the moment. They had another one of those close losses they've been having plenty of this year against the Lions. Probably should have won that game, but if they can sort of replicate of their brand they were able to execute against the Brisbane Lions, I think they can honestly demolish the Swans out of the park. Their pressure is looking very good. Going inside 50, I think they've been great too. And yeah, the midfield battle, Laird and Dawson are really getting it done. There still is definitely a little bit of question marks with no Duday, no Murray, bit of an inexperienced backline, which could hurt them a bit because the Swans forward half is humming at the moment. They're one of the most efficient teams in the competition, the Swans, and this is how they're winning games. But if Adelaide can really do a number, I think, in the contest, if they can really get the most out of Taylor Walker, I think Rankin does return to this game, and if they're able to really execute, I think the Crows win this game of footy. But I just feel at the same time, it's just two ways to think about it. Both teams, when they're on, are very efficient. The Swans have been terrible in the contest and the clearance game. If they're able to match the Crows in that, I think they can beat them with ball movement, but it's a hard one to judge because this one at Adelaide Oval, where the Crows have been awesome at home this year. So it's honestly a bit of a 55-45 game Adelaide's way. Really, really hard one to tip here. I'd love to back in my Swannies, but I just can't really see much of a win here against the Crows. The Adelaide are, as I've said, a great team at home. I think they can beat the Swans around the footy, and they have focal points in their forward half that can be big match winners. So yeah, I reckon this one will be a very, very close game. Could go either way, but the Crows get a close win over the Swannies and keep their season alive and win by 8 points. Now for the Sunday games, first one here, the Bulldogs hosting the West Coast Eagles at Marvel Stadium. West Coast, well, they almost got the win at Marvel Stadium against the Dons a few weeks ago, but apart from that, they've been horrid interstate. They've probably now started to check out a bit. They obviously want to finish the season strong, but yeah, the Doggies play their best footy at Marvel Stadium, so not much else can be said, really, the Doggies to get this win, and yeah, probably lock in a top 8 spot. I think they have a favourable run home, and they should get a big win here over West Coast. Yeah, not really much else can be said. Doggies get a big win over the Eagles and win by 45 points. Sunday afternoon, and we've got another intriguing game here with the Hawthorn Hawks playing the Demons at the MCG. Home game here for Melbourne, and do we see 3 in a row? 3 upsets in a row for the Hawks. Definitely is possible, but as I always say, they're a hard team to get a grasp on with tipping Hawthorn. But the last 2 weeks, it's been good for me, especially last week because I did tip them. But yeah, Melbourne here, it is a hard one because they always are one of the top teams in the competition with all facets of the game. They will be pretty filthy with how they did drop that game against Carlton, but probably is a bit of a blip in the radar because I still feel generally over the last month or so they've been able to put on big scores, but without 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼, it has really hurt them, and they only managed to put up 56 points. Brodie Grundy didn't really work with Max Gawn splitting time with each other, so does Grundy go back into the VFL? And honestly could be the deciding factor of if Grundy's in or not. Is the game won or lost at the selection table? So the big question for me is if Melbourne is able to score, I think they'll win this game. And you've got to give Hawthorn credit. They've been great in the midfield. They've been quite good going inside 52, and yeah, defensively they've been holding up okay. Sicily's been in great form. Hardwick has played some great games as of late too, and I think just collectively as a group, they've almost got that nothing to lose attitude. They're just plucking wins. They're playing great footy. The future's bright, so I give them every chance here. Hawthorn, I think a lot of people will probably hop on them for this game, given without 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼, the Demons are seeming to potentially have scoring issues again. But if Melbourne is serious, this is a big chance to still lock in a top 2 spot. I think they've got to get this win over the Hawks. So I can't see them playing bad footy here. Can't see them play 2 bad weeks of footy in a row. So I think they'll get back to their best, fix their scoring issues, maybe drop Grundy, maybe a big game for Van Rooyen. And yeah, I just think Demons do win this game of footy over the Hawks and win this one by 19 points. And for the final game of the round, we do have the Dockers hosting Port Adelaide at Optus Stadium. Big danger game here for Port Adelaide right off the bat. Fremantle at home have been very good the second half of the year, it has to be said. The last few weeks they've been very competitive, and I think if you're a Freo supporter, you're pretty proud of how your mob has been playing the last few weeks. Some close losses, some gallant performances, and hey, a big over 100-point margin over West Coast. You'll take that any day of the week. Again, maybe sort of the mentality of nothing to lose since you can't make finals. Big chance to knock over Port Adelaide's top 2 chances. So yeah, I think right off the bat, Fremantle, good chance here. Try and win the midfield battle. Brayshawn strong in great form. I think defensively, Pearce had a good game last week. Jai Amos, a few of their plays in their forward half, like 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼, Switkowski, Sam Sturt, they have a bit of focal points in their forward half. So I think they can, really have a good chance to knock over Port Adelaide here. But again, if Port are serious, this is the pointy end of the season. This is where the top 4 clubs need to start winning. And I feel like how they played last week, they got back to their best of just their forward half dominance. They moved the ball really well. They had so many dangerous options in their forward half. So, yeah, I just think on paper, Port Adelaide are the better team. Rosie and Butters are in great form as well. Their role players are getting it done too. Horne-Francis, let's not forget about him too. Todd Marshall's been up and about. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, a few of those players. So I think Port Adelaide, if they're serious, they'll win this game of footy. So I reckon they head into Perth and get this win over the Dockers. So we'll go Port Adelaide to win the final game of the round, and they'll win this one in, I reckon a bit of a tight game. I reckon Fremantle will make this one close and have another gallant defeat. Port Adelaide by 15 points. So overall, there are my tips for round 23 of the 2023 AFL season. This is going to be a very exciting round of footy, a lot of season-defining games. So there are my tips. Feel free to comment down below and let me know what you think, or let me know what you thought of my tips. Would you change a few? As there are a few debatable games definitely this weekend. But apart from that, fellas, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you did go on to enjoy. And until next time, I will talk to you later. See you later, fellas.